What is going on, guys? Davion here, 777's Barbell Club with the Evolve AI recap. This is going to be week 9 and week 10. For those of you who saw my last video, unfortunately I was sick, so I had to push my workouts forward a little bit, and instead of doing like a midweek upload, I decided just to wait and do a combined video, and this is what we have here. Now this also marks the first week that I had rep max attempts as well. There were some people who were sending in some questions asking, how do the rep max attempts work with the benchmark sets, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of those questions in this video here. So since we do have 2 weeks, we'll hop right into it and go through some of this a little bit quickly. So week 9, day 1, started off with just normal competition squat. This was the last day that I was feeling a little bit sick, a little bit under the weather. So based upon my pre-workout survey, I didn't sleep very well the night before, didn't eat too much, and then just my overall eagerness to train was a little bit low. So it actually made adjustments, and this workout was knocked down to 3 sets of 5 at 315. So easy squat work. This is one of the great benefits to working with an AI-based app. Instead of you're not feeling too well, so you're going to skip the workout. Just be realistic to kind of that pre-workout survey, and then it'll kind of adjust and give you something that should be doable, kind of within your current level of readiness. Hopping over into day 2, we actually had Spoto press. It was 5 sets of 5, and my top set ended up being 245, where it felt really, really smooth. Definitely focusing on pausing more, kind of, off the chest a little bit more, holding that for, a 1 second count. So definitely moving a little bit smoother on that. And then hopping into day 3, which was my first day of a rep max attempt, and this was actually deadlift. So I ended up doing 455 for a set of 4. That was an RPE 10. Now, one thing that I think I kind of deal with personally is kind of confidence within the weights that I'm able to lift. There's some days where when it's, kind of these rep max attempts, I'm shooting a little bit higher, and then I look back, and then if I'm kind of, basing my RPs and my percentages, maybe some of the work I did in previous weeks should have been a little bit higher. So definitely trying to be a little bit more, focusing on that. And that's also going to kind of show in another day a little bit later in the video as well. And then my last day was actually going to be a competition bench. Ended up doing 305 for a single at an RPE 8. And then after that, I ended up doing 295 for a triple at an RPE 9. So overall, week number 9 went pretty smooth. I was still feeling a little bit sick at the beginning of this week, but by the time that third workout ended up happening, I was feeling pretty good, pretty consistent. So to hop over into week 10, day 1, competition squat again, and this is going to be my rep max attempts for squats. Very happy with this day. Ended up doing 425 for a set of 5. All of them felt pretty well. That last one was a bit of a grinder, but overall very happy with the way that kind of the weight moves. And I think this kind of then tips back over into the, being more confident and making sure that I'm pushing those RPEs and I'm pushing those weights. I know RPEs are really based upon how you're feeling in that day, but what I've started to try to do is maybe use some of those online RPE percentage-based calculators to give me a little bit more of a ballpark of where I should be. That way I'm not kind of in my head as much, and I'm really more, closer to where I should actually be, while still rating it appropriately based upon kind of my level of readiness and my level of recovery. But overall, week 10, day 1, squat went pretty well. Very happy with the way those looked. Going back to day 2, Spoto press again. I think it was only 2 sets at 230 for 5. Felt really good as well. Very happy with that. And then my deadlift as well. So to kind of go back to what I talked about for the rep max attempts in week 9, I really wanted to kind of attack this weight and really treat it as seriously as I treat those rep max attempt days. And overall, outside of that very first rep, I think these move relatively well. So 2 sets at 4 at 435. Happy with the way these weights move. I think another thing that I'm really focusing in on is just trying to be more consistent with kind of the things that I'm doing outside of lifting as well. So when it comes to those rep max attempts days, I feel like those nights maybe I'm getting to sleep a little bit early, or I'm paying more attention to the way that I'm eating, ahead of time, making sure that I'm getting kind of a pre-workout meal in me. That way I'm a little bit more, ready when it's actually time to lift. And I'm really trying to lock in and do those exact same things on kind of those non or rep max days as well. And then lastly, week 10, day 5 was my bench press, also a rep max attempt. Ended up doing 285 for a set of 5. Tried to really focus in on pausing these. Not all these were kind of a smooth competition pause, but really happy with the way that bench press is progressing too. And then with all 3 of my competition lifts after my rep max attempts, it actually did suggest a bump up in the prescribed max that I have listed in the app, and I pretty much updated all of them. However, I'm normally conservative, and I pick kind of in the middle or even on the lower side of each lift. So overall, really happy with the way that week 9 and week 10 went, even with kind of being behind and needing to kind of work out in a more condensed schedule than I normally work. But yeah, so to kind of get into some of the other questions that are asked are going to be around, the rep max attempts and how those work when it comes to the benchmark sets. So you can only pick one. And the thing about it is you need to go into the application and the actual exercise and turn off your benchmark sets for that. So for instance, when I first, was loading up the app for the day where I had my deadlift, when I went into the app, even though if you do the preview of the workout, it shows you have a rep max attempt, if you don't go actually turn off your benchmark sets, it's going to go ahead and just give you your benchmark sets, and it's not going to give you the rep max. Now, I know the rep max and the benchmark are kind of used similarly to kind of really see where you are. I don't believe the benchmark sets actually push for weight adjustments the way that the rep max do. At least I've not seen that. So I do think that there's still benefits to both. So you just want to make sure that when the weeks come that you have a rep max attempt, if you want to do a rep max attempt, you need to make sure that you're turning off your benchmark set. Now, there is one strange caveat to that, and I'll actually kind of do a little bit of a screenshot here is, let's say, for instance, if you go into a specific week and you have your benchmark set on and you turn it off in order to do that. If you go to like a previous week, if you want to review it, it doesn't lock it to what you did that workout. So let's say, for instance, if for my bench press, for instance, because I do 2 benchmark sets, I normally have my single at RPE 8, I have my triple at RPE 9, and I normally get 1 or 2 back off sets. So I turned off my benchmark sets, and then I did the rep max attempt, and then at that point it says to do the 5 sets at the RPE 10, and then it gave me the back off work. Now, if I go back and I turn on my benchmark sets for my next workouts, then now my workout for that next week, if I go back to the week that I did the benchmark set, is going to look a little bit weird. So it's either going to show like my prescribed sets and reps. It may show that I didn't do all of the work, or it may say something like, hey, your second rep should have been 5 reps. However, because I turned my benchmark sets on, it's expecting me to do 3 sets. I don't know if this is going to have a long-term effect kind of on the algorithm and how things work, but I think that there should be a way for them to, in the development to actually lock in whatever that week is. So once that week's done, that week's complete, it's finished. And then if I go back and I'm adjust my benchmark sets, it's not going to then go back and make that other workout, kind of look weird. I'm assuming that this is probably a known issue, but, the developers and Garrett and team have been pretty receptive to kind of the feedback that I've seen people that have been sending either on YouTube or on social media platforms. So I'm sure if that's something that's having an adverse effect to the way that the app is working, I'm sure that's something that they'll get kind of sorted out going forward in the future. But yeah, once again, week 9, week 10 went pretty good. As mentioned in my previous video, I've been really focused in on kind of eating better, doing those things. So I think I'm down to 288 as of this morning. So 2 pounds down since the last time we reviewed in the video. Just been trying to, eat a little bit better, trying to get 10,000 steps in a day, just be a little more active since I work from home, have a sedentary job. So just trying to get up, do some walks kind of periodically, add in some cardio a couple times a week. But other than that, thank you guys so much for taking a look at this video. Once again, it's Davion with 777's Barbell Club. Peace.